Hi, this is Danny Hammond with the Foreclosure Solutions Group. And some of you may be wondering what it is I'm thinking right now. What I'm thinking is I'm going to turn those lights around and shine them in your eyes. That's what I'm thinking. But that's not brotherly love. Okay, today this is actually comes from a post that I wrote. It's about the crux of the matter. We've all heard of the crux of the matter. But what is the crux of the matter? The noun crux is often followed by the phrases of the matter. That's true, I just did that. Or of the problem, which I hadn't done, but it would have been next. When people are trying to identify the crux of something, it's like they want to get to the heart of it. That's you guys. You're wanting to get to the heart of it. I already did, and it was hard. Take advantage of the fact that it took me 14 years to get to here, and you can catch up in a few weeks. And I won't feel bad. Yeah, I will. I won't resent it. Yeah, I will. They want to peel back the layers and find out what something is really all about or what is causing the problem. Okay, so a definition would be the decisive or most important matter and point at issue. The crux of the matter is that attitudes have changed. Similar terms: nub, heart, essence, most important point, central point, main point, essential part, core, center, nucleus, kernel, the bottom line, a particular point of difficulty. So why is it I'm thinking of the crux of the matter? It's because I get your calls and you are actually pursuing the correct answers. However, you can't get to them because you're looking for laws, statutes, case law that's going to cover the one subject. Your judge isn't listening to what you say, and he's not even replying to what you've written. So the crux of the matter, the thing itself, there is no other thing, because the crux of the matter is that you were foreclosed on with the assignment of your mortgage or deed of trust. You can't assign a mortgage or deed of trust. Now, yes, I know it's been done 30 million times, but that's wrongfully. Those are wrongful foreclosures. What got me to this is that I had a really strange evening just before I wrote this, and I woke up in my recliner at 6 p.m., only I thought it was 6 a.m. And I don't know what time. I must have thought I went to sleep, probably 3 in the afternoon. I got up, I had some breakfast, I found out what my Ukrainian friends had accomplished and began to read the emails. Then I noticed it was 7 p.m. and not morning. Now I didn't know if it was the day before or the day after. Then I realized that I was asking myself that question, but I didn't know what I meant by after. It was about to get weirder. The very first email I opened generated the following response from me. It had to do with an affidavit by a not-so-much expert witness. It seems the fake foreclosing party had lost the mortgage. That's deed of trust or mortgage or deed of trust, and that depends on where you live. But really, they're both the security instrument, which is the term we should all use all the time, and I do. I have trouble when I have to switch to talk to you. The expert witness was asking for a new mortgage so that it could be assigned, and right here I want to say WTF question mark, because the real mortgage had been lost. Okay, here's what he said, or what he was asking. The expert witness was asking for a new mortgage so that it could be assigned because the real mortgage had been lost. The mortgage is lost. Round up the posse. Let's go get it. If you read everything I've ever said here and retained every bit of it, all of it, then you know you can't lose a mortgage, and that the assignment of your security instrument, mortgage, deed of trust, security deed, etc., simply cannot be done, that it is not even that kind of a document. The mortgage is recorded at the recorder's office in the county. It is noticed to the world that there's probably a note somewhere, or there has been in the past. So if you were going to buy a house and somebody's going to sell it to you, but it wasn't a real estate person and you're not at a title company, you go down to the recorder's office and see if a loan had been recorded, and you would find the security instrument recorded, and it will say, there was a loan on this date. And if it doesn't say right after that, recorded that, and this has all been paid off, so don't worry about it, then you should worry about it. So you can't lose a mortgage because it's recorded at the county. You can go get another one that's just as good as that one for $15. That might be a lie. It could be $25. Okay. So, no one can transfer the ownership of the remainder of your debt by signing the agreement of what the collateral loan is. So, the note is about your debt. Your debt is the thing. Your debt is, you were loaned money, but no one can prove you were loaned it because you immediately put it into your house. So the money's gone. There has to be evidence of what the deal was. So the promissory note is the explanation. It's the contract. It is the contract between the lender and the borrower. So the contract says that you got this much money and you owe that money back per the terms of the note. The security instrument doesn't say that. It says that the lender and the borrower decided that this address with this legal description is what we're going to use as a security, and that means they don't have to come after you with some judgment trying to find something that you've agreed that you're going to use the house. I can't explain why that affidavit was used that I just read. The promissory note can be sold and endorsed like a check. But that hasn't happened in this case, or they wouldn't be making stuff like this up to take a house with alternative documents not meant for this purpose. So in other words, they are trying to take your house using documents that were meant for something else. And so what we're doing is we're fighting nothing. The chances of them showing up with a note after saying this in court is zero. They're not going to. What I liked about this is that it's even stupider than anything else I've ever seen, and I guess I love to uncover the stupid. We know from this attempt to conjure up a foreclosure using magic, that they have never paid consideration to purchase the balance of the debt. So whoever this is in this court case where they used the affidavit is admitting they don't have a note, and so they need the mortgage so they can pretend it's a note. And because you work on Lamborghini engines, which would be an incredibly hard job, and they're lawyers, which would be a really easy job, and they don't know the difference, or they think that you won't know the difference. And honestly, you shouldn't. This is the thing that aggravates me the most. You shouldn't have to know the difference. You should be able, and by law, it's a right that you should be able to trust anyone with a license to not cheat you on purpose. Now, out of stupidity, I don't know the answer to that, but just they can't cheat you on, they can't take advantage of you. You came to them because they have a license. In your predicament, you don't know who loaned you the money. Now, I already know that. If you think you know who loaned you the money, then you should come here and sit here and put these lights in your eyes. The foreclosing party doesn't know who loaned you the money. You don't know who loaned you the money. The judge appears to not know anything about anything. The judge is the culprit then. But that I will explain in a different fairy tale. Did you ever tell anyone you know who loaned you the money? First of all, I'm telling you, you don't know. Don't say it. That's the one thing you can't say. The burden is not for you to figure out how to tell the judge in some way he'll understand, because you think he's dense, that this is a fraudulent act and he's not paying attention. So you start looking for your note. So you get a forensic audit and you turn it into the court. And the audit says that, well, according to everything they wrote down way back then, the SEC says that your note went this way and then this way and then it's gone. You knew that. But if you pay to find your note, what you've kind of done is you have admitted that you think there was a note. That's not your burden. Your burden is to say that I am not in default with any of these guys here in this case. And that's it. Then you stop. You know, and if they try to torture you, you've got to fight back, but don't talk. And the reason for that is that the burden isn't on you because you weren't doing anything. You were sitting there with a house and a deed. The deed is really important. In this story, the note's very important. The deed is everything. So you have a deed, and these guys come and say, you have a deed, but you owe us money, and we have the right to collect some money that you owe. You know, there is no such thing, and I say it over and over, and I'm going to say it now, there's no such thing as the right to foreclose. Foreclosure is an act to collect money, and you can only use it if you didn't pay someone who you owed money to, and you had made an arrangement for that money. You don't know here because they ruined the deal. Here's some guys that are looking for the thing that's recorded down at at the recorder's office. Okay, so if anyone tries to make you think that you have to say more than I just say, then you should say, I can't say more than I know. Okay, that indicates that you don't know anything more, so why should you tell them? I mean, okay, so your mortgage is about to be used. When this affidavit came out, the mortgage was about to be used to transfer the debt to a stranger to your contract. That's a real legal word or phrase, and you can use it. For some reason, I have always said stranger to the deal, but I don't think that's any different. So stranger to the contract means that they aren't on the note. They can't prove they're on the note because they don't have the note. If they have a note, then it's a fake note. And I have only seen fake notes in the 14 years, and the hundreds of people that I've talked to. I've been hired to testify in court because I'm a real estate broker, and I've been a mortgage broker, and so I know about mortgage documents, and that's all this is about. So when you go pro se, you'll lose the fact if you're truly going pro se and you're going to do it all by yourself. But if you have somebody that can put things together for you, can tell you about the documents, then me doing that, I've done nothing wrong. That's what that's my career. And so I'm not saying you should do it with me. What I'm saying is that they don't let anybody shove you around. Okay. So you can't lose a mortgage. We know that. A mortgage can't be used to foreclose. And I know the attorneys are saying they're foreclosing under the mortgage. Under the mortgage means whatever the person's saying it means. But here what we're saying is that the mortgage does describe the collateral, and if they have the note, then they can use the collateral to pay them if in fact you owe them money that you haven't paid yet. If it isn't due yet, then it's paid until it's due, and then you owe that one. What if that was confusing? But so anyway, if they have the note with all the necessary endorsements, the required endorsements, if it's a good note, and they can prove it with concrete and particularized evidence. Remember, we talk about that all the time. So they say they're foreclosing under it, but they first have to prove they own the debt. If they don't own the debt, they can't even address the mortgage or deed of trust or security deed or whatever, the security instrument. So the debt is the thing which it's represented by the promissory note. There was no mention in this affidavit of the promissory note being transferred first. None of this describes a legal sale of anything at all, especially your debt. And I think we should now talk about Carter v. Longman. And this is old, and it's never been challenged in a negative way. It's been used in a positive way many, many times. And it even uses case law from before 1872, which is even older, which of course it would be. Okay. This is a controlling law. And it's called, right now, you'll hear them always say it's settled law. No one's ever, the Supreme Court of the United States has never gone back to look at it because this is logic. Okay, so where did this person get the notice that this is what they were looking for? Well, it doesn't really matter because it's been in 30 million, it's been done this way 30 million times, that American families were thrown out of their houses to stuff piled up by the curb. And as I like to say, that if there's 20 million of them loans instead of 30 million, and there's 3 people in every house, that's 60 million refugees thrown from their house, and they don't know where they can go. Their credit's been ruined, but they do have the right to sue to get their house back. That's Missouri. It's also most of the other non-judicial foreclosure states. An assignment of a security instrument is a nullity. The assignment of that mortgage is a nullity. It simply can't be done. It makes no sense. Even if you paid for a mortgage, you bought nothing of value. You got scammed. The promissory note can be the promissory note can be endorsed if money was paid for it. That would transfer the ownership of your debt, the remaining balance that you owe after the payments you've made. So I don't say debt anymore. I say the remaining balance. And I say that because after every foreclosure, the foreclosure person, whether it's a sheriff in your state or whether it's a trustee in a non-judicial foreclosure state or whoever it is, when they do the sale, they get some money. Okay? Now, if you put $200,000 down on a $400,000 house and you've also been paying on it for 5 years, you've got equity. They can't make a profit. That's the crux of the matter. Well, the crux of the matter is that they're looking for a way to foreclose on you, and they're trying to find a lost mortgage, which is recorded, and you can buy another one for $15 to $25. The note is essential. It represents the debt. The mortgage or deed of trust is incidental. It is merely the description of whatever is agreed on between the borrower and the lender as a collateral for the security of the loan. And a claim that the assignment of the security instrument is not only an attempt to circumvent settled law, to convince you in some court that the assigning of your mortgage transferred the ownership of your debt. The very brave idiot who signed the affidavit stated, saying that a mortgage is missing, which changes nothing, is lying. He's obviously a newbie racketeer because this is a lie that he typed up and signed, and it is a fraudulent act in court. It's perjury. The promissory note can be endorsed if money was paid for it. That would transfer the ownership of your debt. The remaining balance that you owe after the payments that you have made is the remaining debt. The mortgage goes with the note. It must follow the note. It actually is a part of the note. It is always, every single time, magically sent with the note, legally because it is part of the deal, but is not a standalone instrument that can be bought or sold. The note represents the debt. The mortgage or deed of trust in 26 states is just the description of the collateral. You know, I can say it 50 different ways, it's always going to be the same, is that you don't know where your note is, you haven't seen it, they can't produce it, they might produce a copy, but they're not doing that now. I mean, that's all it was for a long time, is that, that they said, I've heard this, that our attorneys have it in a safe that's in the floor of their law office. That's where they put your note, is in a safe in the floor. I never saw that, but that's where I heard that it was going to be. We never got around to going to looking at it. Any claim that the assignment of the security instrument is not only an attempt to circumvent settled law to convince you in some court that the signing of mortgage transfers the ownership of your debt, it will always, the law doesn't change. I mean, there's no way to explain your way around that. That's why this letter bothered me so much that this person got, because it doesn't matter. It bothered me because it doesn't matter. And that's what this whole thing is, that crazy. It bothers me because it doesn't matter. You can't lose a mortgage. We hear the phrase often today, not so much before 2004. Obstruction of justice is what this is. And you've heard of that. It's a pretty big crime. And someone is lying to the court about where it was lost, whoever owned it, when it lost, which is foolish because he's lying and hiding something that is perjury. Why did I say you can't lose a mortgage? Read on. When you didn't challenge it, you probably didn't know that a security instrument, in your case a mortgage, is recorded at your county recorder's office and meant to be a notice to the world that you signed a loan on that date. Now, here's the first thing I tell everybody that wants me to do something for them. I need for you, this is what I say, I need for you to go to the recorder's office because there's something that's been recorded since you last looked at it. And they almost always say, well, how could that be? What could have happened? Somebody assigned your mortgage to U.S. Bank is the number one recipient of that, far more than anybody else. That's what I've seen. So the first thing we have to do is challenge this because they've said it. We object. We have to object. But you don't object like, I think when I first got into this, it's because I'd been foreclosed. And so I was chasing, I am a real estate broker. I'm a mortgage broker. And I know a lot about the documents. But what I didn't know a lot about was crime. And this was about crime. It wasn't about documents. And so it takes a long time to sort it all out. And to this moment, I can't tell you why it's in every state, every county in the whole country. How would that, it has to be a whole bunch of judges doing the wrong thing, or the law schools are sending only idiots out. The number is just too big. And I can't answer, I don't know how to answer it. Anyway, so in court, if you fall for this lie, the bad guys will continue to try to wrongly and impossibly foreclose on your home and sell it illegally using a the lost mortgage. Now, I don't want that, please don't let me confuse you there. The lost mortgage isn't lost. This is someone that really is being an expert witness by signing an affidavit, having it notarized, and swearing that he's telling the truth, and that he has an actual knowledge. And there isn't a lost mortgage in this case or in any case. In fact, sometimes there is no mortgage. I don't have to take collateral if I'm loaning money to somebody that I know and like, and that if they lose the money in a business venture or something, an illness, I'm not going to take their house. So I don't need collateral. I don't need collateral against my friend because I'm just going to not have the money because I'm not going to hurt my friend. So, and it doesn't have to be your house. You borrow the money for your house, but it doesn't have to be the house itself. It could be 1,000 Schwinn bicycles in a warehouse. It could be 1,000 cattle out, on the range. It could be anything that the borrower and the lender agree is the collateral. And if they don't have it, then if they don't have an agreement and they don't care if there's no collateral, then we never have to talk about it. But we always have to talk about the note. The note is essential, as it said here. Losing a promissory note, which is essential to the contract, is a problem. But even that's not unsolvable. If you lose a promissory note that you legally own, what you have to do is go to court, and you have to prove, the same as proven that they have it before they can foreclose on you. If they say they've lost it, that doesn't mean they can go ahead and foreclose. They can get a replacement for it, but only if they can prove with concrete and particularized evidence again that they were the owners of the note at the time it was lost, or they were the holder of the note and they were the owners of the debt at the time that the note was lost. Proving that the party has come after you to foreclose has never tried to proving that the party that's come after you to foreclose has never tried to prove to the court that they had paid for the balance of your debt. And because they bought it fair and square, you haven't paid, and they have the right to collect money and owed to them from you. I've never seen them ask, to try to prove that either. Fact is, they never say anything except the backwards, failure to state a claim for which relief has been granted. And if many of you have been working on your case very long and you've been in court, then you've probably had them write that and send it to you, but that's backwards. You're the one supposed to say that to them. You're the one that's supposed to say that you have made a claim for which relief cannot be given. They're the ones, again, I'm going to go back to the very beginning, is that you weren't doing anything. You have no burden to prove that they are foreclosing on you in a fraudulent manner because you weren't doing anything and they came and tried to take your house. So they're the attacker. They've gone to court. Now they have to prove that they even can foreclose on you, that you even owe money. And if you help them by pointing out all the fraud you think you've seen, what you really want to do is you want to get the judge to understand that they don't reach the constitutional irreducible minimum requirement of standing. And, before Glass-Steagall was repealed in 1999, and you had a good loan, and you have the note, and everything's fair and square, they'll win even under that heavy burden of proof. But I've not seen it. I think we have a lot more fraud than we have good loans, and you just have to look at it as you want to make the judge as uncomfortable as you, so you have to accuse him of something, or you have to tell him that he has or is going to commit the crime of deprivation of civil rights. So I went through that round, and I'm coming down to civil rights, because this is what it is. Civil rights, the Constitution, and land property are the very basis of the American way, very basis of American law. I'm not making up something that might kind of be sort of said. This is called root law. This is the base, the bottom of American law. This bizarre assignment of the mortgage or the deed of trust, that's a scam. It's the heart of the entire foreclosure fraud crisis. Over 30 million families out on the street, creating the largest refugee crisis in the history of the world. But you can make it worse, like the rest of us had to represent ourselves pro se. You must object in writing and file your objection to your court to any lie that you hear, because you think, I did, that you were going to end up in a trial somewhere. That almost never happens. Somebody, gives, or the judge just decides, I got to get this over with. This is getting kind of dangerous. It's getting awfully close to me. And I can't prove that's right, but I certainly don't see how this is done without being facilitated by someone in control of the entire court and the case. Now, you tell me who that is. Because I don't think I want to say it, because somebody's going to get a hold of this, send it to the DOJ that's run by that crazy person. Well, we won't talk about that now. The reason that you hear the word uncontroverted is if their attorneys write a motion, and they tell a great big lie about you. If you don't object, then later on they're going to say that what they said was the truth because it's uncontroverted. You didn't object means uncontroverted means you didn't object. And this is all part of the crux of the matter. They're using the wrong instrument. They're using the security instrument, trying to foreclose, and they're trying to replace it because they're not they're not even using that one. They're using the mortgage. So if they do a motion and they're telling a lie, and you look at it and you think, well, I'm here, you still have to object in writing because it came to you in writing. They filed it in, you have to file an objection. And a lot of us missed that back in 2010, 2012, because we had watched Perry Mason and all the way to Boston Legal, and in those cases, their cases only lasted 30 to 90 minutes. And so they had to have a crime, have some dilemma about figuring out who did the crime and who's going to represent them, and then they talk about the crime, and then they type some stuff, and then somebody gets fired and somebody kisses somebody, and then they go into courtroom and they say that's uncontroverted, and then somebody says, and here's the real killer. Well, that's not how it works. Most of it's done paperwork. Motions in, motions out. Memorandums of support of motions, and in this case that we just said, is that objections to something that was said that's a lie. So if Wells Fargo tells the biggest lie in the world and you don't say anything, the judge has no choice. He has to take what they said as the truth because you didn't say, judge, that was a big lie, a big fat lie. Then the judge says, oh, it's controverted. In other words, it's been answered, so these two parties are going to have to figure out what they're going to say about it. I think that I've come to the end, and it was so sudden that I don't look very professional. I can see what I have here. I had 2 copies. So, at the end of this, I finally do wake up, and it was nighttime and not daytime, and it was the day before and not the day after. For those of you who've been waiting to see how it ended. Now, one of the things I've always wanted to do is I always wanted to try to put together an association of borrowers. And when I had 10 and 12 cases at a time, 10 families and 12 families, I would always try to get them to at least go to coffee together. And I thought it'd be kind of a psychologically good thing to do, that they could visit and see other people were in the same shape they were. Because I've a lot of times, and that's the reason I could never do it, is that many borrowers feel that they have done something wrong because the court's against them, these lawyers are against them, they don't know what's even being said, and maybe they've missed some payments. But missing payments, there's so many ways there was to take care of that this past 20 years, and that was the law. Okay, so here's what happens. Your HAMP map modification is the Congress made up a really good law to help that said we're going to help borrowers stay in their home because we're going to have these lenders and the servicers, we're going to have them, do whatever it takes to make a deal that can keep people in it and they can work their way out of it. Say it's an injury, that somebody's hurt. The idea was that they had to help you not get into default. And they did. They did help you because the modification might have been done behind a forbearance, and there's no such thing as a modification for forbearance. That's for the HAMP program. And so what this has all been used for is just to confuse you. I've had just very, very recently, I've got people that thought they were in a modification. The third one they were doing because they kept changing the servicer. Went, oh, well, we have to start again. I know you almost were done, but there's nothing I can do about it. And that's a lie. I mean, they are trying to get you 91 days late so they can collect the mortgage insurance, which means your house is paid for, and they got the money, but your house is paid for. The insurance company should come after you in that case, and that's a whole different kind of a case. So I've always wanted to do an association, and that's how I even started looking at YouTube again. And I think it's possible because Google bought YouTube, and Google always wants to look how to make money, even though they give us all kinds of stuff for free. So we'll like them. I like them because they give me a bunch of free stuff, but I hate them because I think they're spying on me. You know, it's a nasty world. So anyway, what I want to do is I would like for you to please subscribe, like, ring the bell, and all that stuff, because I'm watching people make money on YouTube. And I have had this channel for 12 years, and if you look, there's like 18 videos down there that I left on it when I looked at it again after 10 years. They were all 9 years old and 10 years old. And what I left on there, they're still relevant. You know, it's still good stuff, and it's still current because they haven't changed any of their tactics. And so let's just do that while I'm trying to learn what you do then. How do I do the split screen? I need to get probably some people to talk on here. I've even had, Midas, Touch, has even subscribed to my channel. They're looking at it, I'm making some waves that I never made before, and I've got now 7 wins, and the 8th one is going to be a win. It's right there. I'm going after my own now, and mine is the worst I've ever seen. And I don't think it's going to be a bit different trying to do it. And actually, I'm kind of confident. Have not been confident in a long time. So what we need to do is raise money to help the borrowers who have run out of money trying to save the day. I've got a lot less money than I did before this happened to me. And so what I want to do is I'd like for everybody to be able to be taken care of, but it takes staff and things. And I've spent all my money, and I still have things I can do, but I keep getting stuck in working on deals. So I'm going to do mine, and I think that should I win mine, I can help a lot of people myself. And but if we could do it this way, it's cheap. Subscribe and like. Subscribe and like. It doesn't cost anything, but Google's paying for how many times you come and look at this channel, and how long you watch it, and they're paying for that. So if you've got a premium membership, they're paying you for the premium membership that you're holding there. And if you don't have one, then the ads that you see, if you do enough of them, it all comes up money. But I can't tell you I understand it yet because I can't slow down and even read this. I had a nice time talking just now. I don't think I ever do as good as I could because I've started out writing. By the way, if you do want to write, or if you want to read instead of hear me talk, it's foreclosurefraudanswers.blogspot.com, and it's written down here somewhere. You can find it, and if you also I've got a detailed form that you can fill out, so I can tell you kind of what you got. I don't charge to review your case, and what I'd really like to do is figure out a way that we can take every case, because I think these can be won now. And it took me a long time, I had it figured out, but I couldn't figure out how to do part of it. And now it was easy. Now we're going to find out that, that I was lucky, or it's just a strange streak. And I thought that like a couple of years ago, but I don't feel that now. We'll see, but no, it's exactly like it should be. And these judges are doing what I want them to do, and I'm not messing with any of the other characters. I'm not going to go after the attorneys on the other side, because they couldn't have done their stupid lying if someone did not let them. It couldn't be done. There's a facilitator somewhere, and it seems to be who I thought it was, and that's who we attacked. So anyway, be glad to talk to you. Like I said, I got an email on here. We've got a detailed form which goes to the email. So if I get the form, I can see what you know and what you don't know, so that the first conversation isn't so stressful. You know, if I know what you know and I know what you don't know, then I can think about how I want to cover that to make it like where it lowers your anxiety, it doesn't raise it. Anyway, Danny Hammond, Kansas City, Lake of the Ozarks, since 1988. I'll be back soon, and I'm going to do these more often. Actually, my microphone's broken, so I ordered some studio stuff, real cheap, so we'll see if it works. It might be just a little, I've lost a word. Thank you. Bye.